In DC, for DC. DC Radio, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to Choppin It Up with Chook here on DC Radio. Shout out to my whole DC family, DC Radio family, my DMV family, all that good stuff. Mr. Myrick and Shane and Chaz and Mrs. Caldwell in the studio today and everything like that. Listen, y'all, I believe that this is Women's History Month. Women's History Month. Mm-hmm. And y'all hear that voice? If you don't know that voice, you're about to learn who it is. Ladies and gentlemen, in the studio today, I have, yes, the HipHopMomma herself, Miss Princess Bess.
Hey.
So listen up. Princess Bess, a.k.a. the HipHopMomma, is an inspirational public speaker, musical theater performing artist, arts director, playwright, thought influencer, and mental health and wellness advocate for girls and women of color.
All right, now.
Currently, Princess speaks, tours, and leads a movement called the Hip Hop Health Crusade, where she uses performing arts to teach personal development and spread awareness on the wellness of women and girls, healing communities, and creating engaging, effective education and organizational systems. She is the author of the book, My Bars Heal Scars, The Womb Print to Healing the Girl Within. Of course, you know we're going to talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
Also, the HipHopMomma speaking tour, the Heal Me Tour, series brings awareness to the history, health, and wellness of African American and African diasporic girls and women through hip-hop literacy, theater, storytelling, and public speaking. Princess is the host of 2 podcasts, Lessons of Lyrics and Motherhood by Design. Yeah. She currently serves as the Fly by Light performance troupe director and program facilitator of One Common Unity, working in numerous schools throughout the DCPS system. A former drama teacher and actress, she has appeared in a host of theatrical productions in the DC area, including African Continuum Theater Company, ACTCO.
Oh, yeah, African Continuum.
Yeah, that's it. And Kennedy Center. Best, I would like to call her Queen Best. Yes, has self-produced productions such as her self-titled keynote musical speech, My Bars Heal Scars, Alpha Chick, Breakthrough, and Two of a Kind, co-produced with Mouthpiece Theater Company. Princess is a proud theater arts graduate of the University of the District of Columbia. Yeah,
Firebirds.
Yes, indeed. And former Miss UDC 2001, 2002.
That's true.
See, listen, y'all got to do your research.
Know what I'm saying?
Listen, most notably, she was featured on the TV One's reality show David E. Tauber's Stage Black, HBO's The Wire, and as the voice Ford Fiestas, inspired by color radio commercial. She was recognized by the NAACP as one of the, and this is what I love, as one of the top 100 game changers in 2015 for her arts and activism work in her community. Yeah. Be sure to check her out, and we will talk about, how you can get in contact. I want to get right into this conversation, this interview with this wonderful woman. Ladies and gentlemen, the HipHopMomma herself, Queen Princess Bess.
What's up, y'all?
Did that sound like a crowd? I don't know if it sounded like out there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It sound like that, or you checking your breath.
Exactly.
What it smell like? What it do like?
Welcome to Chopping It Up with Chook. So let me tell you all, so this is my first time formally meeting Queen Bess. But what happened was a few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to go to the DC Summit. And it was really impactful when you all had the
panel.
The panel. And
it was some hard hitters up there. It was like 20.
But the thing about it is, the way you came across, like you captured people's attention.
Yeah.
And, and didn't forget your voice and everything of that nature. I was, and then of course you ran into Mrs. Caldwell, and then I was like, you know what? The world is too small. Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
So welcome to the show first and foremost.
Thank you.
So tell us, I talked a little bit about you on paper.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I mean, the stuff that's off paper. Well, I'm from D.C.
One more. That's one more. There's a difference. We support the DMV. We're being from D.C. and this is D.C. Radio.
Right.
That's a whole other thing.
Yes. So now my friends from North Carolina will try to like fake out, right? Because they'll be like, she lived in North Carolina, but I was born.
Right.
I was born in Chicago. Now, I was born in D.C., Northeast Trinidad Avenue, stand up.
Yes, indeed.
And so and so I got roots here, and of course, all of our, family migrated from like North Carolina and things of that nature. But I'm a DC girl.
I know that's right.
I was gonna let the consciousness fool you. And so I mean, and I'm excited. Like just for me, artistry has always been my thing. I'm a Leo, like I told you, and I'm like, I was born into that, which is the arts. You don't know that, you know what I mean? But I remember when I was younger, my mom used to always be like very afraid because I would speak to anyone.
I know that's right.
And she would be like, you can't do that. They ain't had no stranger danger back then.
Right.
Or if they did, we ain't talk about it like that. But I was just never afraid to speak to people.
Got it.
And so that just came very natural to me. So like I'm just I'm a mama.
Yes.
I'm very proud mama of a 7-year-old who is my CEO and boss.
I know that's
Let
right.
me be real clear.
I know that's right.
So yeah, and so just very like humbled in the sense of just being able to continue to do what I do for as long as I have.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it's really amazing. So what has been what was a perk for me was doing some research. You know what I'm saying, on you, and I like to, even though there might be people that we work with or our colleagues, it's different. I love this platform because it allows me to do some homework.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, I was looking on YouTube and, of course, reading your bio and all that stuff. Your lyrical content is amazing. And, of course, like, when it talks about in your bio about the support for, African-American girls and women and all that good stuff. But the way you come across is so, oh, my goodness. And it's clear, it's classy, but you're clear on what you're portraying. You know what I'm saying?
It's no mistaking it.
It's no gray area. and I love that because that's the whole thing. If you like communication is key.
Absolutely.
And you make your point and your perspective of it so clear. So I got a question. So with the concept of the black woman and all that stuff, what do you think? What is your gut feeling? How do you feel about the importance of, number one, the black woman, period, and then the black woman in D.C., the DMV area?
Oh, yeah.
And how important it is.
Well, I mean, so we got to do a little bit of, when you say history, you know what I'm saying? Because, we got to break that down because it's his story.
That's right.
So let's go a little bit to her story.
I love it.
So the first idea is, I'll say it like this. Part of the reason why I am a rapper, and I tell this story all the time, is because when rap got real for me was when Lauryn Hill came on the scene. Right?
Got you.
And but what was really stand out was not just about Lauryn Hill being a rapper. It was about her ability to teach about concepts that could open your brain to things that you would not normally be exposed to. That's teaching. That's artistry. That's science. And so I told people, I said, the most memorable line for me that takes it back to her story is more powerful than to Cleopatra. Bomb graffiti on the tomb of Nefertiti.
Yeah.
If you were a black girl in school, when I was in school, when you opened up the history books, his story, when you saw Nefertiti and you saw Cleopatra, they were painted as Greek goddesses. Now, if you did not come from a family who it was very rooted in their own history, herstory, then you would believe the stories that you've been given in school. Here's the danger. So when do you get to a point where you're being taught about your actual culture if your parents are either too busy because they working, you know what I'm saying? They don't know themselves because we've been so displaced, right? And what's the quickest way to actually get that information out? Well, music, because the limericks, the rhymes, the rhythms, and so Princess of Controversy at that time was my stage name, and then the HipHopMomma was born after that. So for me, what I found out was that it was a dangerous situation for black girls, black girls to not know where they were, who they were, and where they were from. And then juxtaposing that to all of the different things I work with girls in schools to like when we have high self-esteem issues, high issues of depression, of mental health issues that were going on. And I'm saying, okay, so what's the foundation? Right. So why do we get to this point where, when we talk about these different tests that black girls were going through, the paper bag test, all of these different things that were predated me, But if you did not have that teacher like me,
that's right,
that was in the that actually infiltrated the school system,
that's right,
to be able to teach you a little bit more. You know, that's why students will come to a classroom where if you got a little bit more knowledge, they like, oh, she teaching something different. This ain't what's in school.
That's right.
So the importance for Black girls is to have someone who actually understands her story, so that you can be exposed to it. Once you're exposed to it, it opens up an avenue for you to be able to then question. So just Lauryn Hill alone saying more powerful than 2 Cleopatra, I'm like, what? Cleopatra Black?
Right.
Nefertiti Black? Now, in today's time, if I heard Nefertiti, of course I would know.
Right, exactly.
But at that time, if you don't know the historical nature of what African names or indigenous people's names are, you wouldn't question it.
That's it.
You would just listen to your teacher like, this is Cleopatra.
Right.
This is Nefertiti.
Right.
And so having that power for somebody in a classroom who looks like you, right, who reflects you, and can also give you that extra bit of information to connect you to your foundation, that's the womb print. That's the important part for Black girls and for Black women is that, and for me, that's the reason why my daughter goes to an African-centered school. Because I've already worked with too many girls who had too many identity crises, because the first person who was a permanent fixture in their lives outside of their mothers was a white woman teacher, because we put our girls in public schools and those women do not reflect us and our history.
Absolutely. You know what? And and I love the way, because you got me in here. I don't know if y'all watching it live. I'm about to take out my notepad and be like, you know what I'm saying? And you're very, very passionate about it. So what is the inspiration of behind your passion? Outside, I know you're a Black woman, but what is your inspiration behind the passion for you to be able to clearly express that to the masses?
So for me, my tagline is, every time I go on, I say, what's up, y'all? This is the Hip Hop Mama, your girl crusading around the world, and I heal, empower, amplify, activate, and liberate the voices of women and girls so that we can have better communities and a better world.
Oh, wait a minute. So y'all need to write that down, because if it's after 1 o'clock, that's almost 2, so you at your desk if you're working a job. Or you can type it in. Say that one more time, your tagline. That's great.
So my tagline is, I'm here to heal, empower, amplify, activate. Okay, and that's you got to put that together, because you got to first of all put it on the mic.
That's it.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You got to amplify it.
That's
then
right.
you got to activate it so that they keep going, right?
That's
and liberate.
Right?
The voices of women and girls, so that we can have better communities and a better world.
Gotcha.
The root of that comes from broken mother-daughter relationships. The root of that comes from my own experience, and also the experiences of many girls and women that I've known. The root of that comes from so many women that I would come in contact with that be like, can we cuss? I don't know if we can cuss over here. You know what I'm saying? So I don't F with other females. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature.
Gotcha.
And so hearing that, watching how much women were in dissension as an adult woman, looking at the relationships, how those relationships played out. Like, what did we learn about women? What did we learn from our mothers? What were we being taught? How much did we work together as younger girls? What did we work through? What kind of foundation, the womb print, did we have that would allow us to look at girls in a particular way?
Gotcha.
Again, and then, like I said, going deeper into that, and then what makes us want to have girl children? And that's where I shifted from Princess of Controversy to the Hip Hop Mama. Because when I got pregnant with my daughter, a lot of the response was, "Ooh, you about to have a girl?"
Right. Okay.
It was a natural response that was like, "Ooh, you gonna be dealing with attitudes," and it was like this whole projection. And I thought back, and then and part of what, like, one of my rhymes, I never liked the biblical story about Eve, is because, again, let's go back to his story. When you tell women that they entered this earth, by way of, number one, they lied, you know what I'm saying? And they did the forbidden fruit, whatever, whether you take it as a symbolic story or whether you take it literal. The idea is that women are introduced to themselves by saying, oh, you did this bad thing, and because of that, you get the pain of childbirth.
Right.
So that becomes the permeating thought in your mind. So who wants to have children? particularly who wants to have a girl child, because ain't you the one that messed up?
Right,
ain't you, you know what I mean? So we have to correct that idea so that, one, we're not looking at children as a negative thing, right? And we have to, and we also have to like ourselves. We have to like ourselves.
Absolutely.
And I come in, and for me, I was blessed to be born at the time that I was born at, to be born with a certain natural confidence.
Right.
And because and with that being said, when I look at the ways in which I feel about myself and the ways in which I've grown, when I don't see a woman or a girl who feels like that, my question is, what is not in her meter that she doesn't feel that way? What incorrect information has she been told? Because I feel like everybody should be their number one thing.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I got a question. So because I know that you receive attention, for lack of a better term, for so what is it that you what part of that, because you have a platform and it's like you build a platform, like just your whole essence, it makes a person want to like talk to you, like okay, what are you about, and so forth and so on, which is great, you know what I'm saying? So what is it that you like about that? It's a two-sided question. What is it that you like about that, and what is it that you dislike about it?
So one of my friends, Chanel, I remember one day I was at work. I was working at Busboys, and there was this guy there, and he was a worker, and I just started talking to him, and I was like, you ever been married before? And he was like, yeah, and he starts telling me, and I said, you got kids? And we just talking, and so we going on for like 5 minutes, and my friend's mouth is dropping, and she like, girl, you like Oprah. You can get anybody to tell you anything.
Just open up.
And I said, and for me, it was real natural though. It was like, I didn't feel like to me, I guess some people have that filter where they're like, oh, I can't ask that. I never felt like that.
That's right.
So like when I would ask people, I mean, I'm sure to somebody else it might be like, this is deeply personal, but because I'm so open, I probably don't see it the same way.
Gotcha.
Maybe those are those boundaries that you're supposed to have, but I don't have them. So for me, I think when people see like, what are you about? It's like I've always been a communicator. I've always been a person who's written, and I've always had, back in the day when you had diaries, I wrote and things of that nature. Now let me answer your question. You said, now what do I like about it? What do I like about what I do? Right. Well, I like the fact that when I was a little girl, my mom and dad took me to a play, and I don't remember the name of the play, but I remember how I felt.
Got it.
I remember that whatever they were doing on the stage, it impacted me physically, mentally. Something about how I came in and how I left felt different. It felt different. And I said, I don't know if I knew that was a power, but I knew what I felt.
Got it.
And I knew that I wanted that again. So that made me gravitate towards acting. That made me gravitate, towards that. I think that what I like about it is the instant connection that you can have with somebody. It's like, I think I'm like the rolling Uber driver. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Wherever I go, you know what I'm saying? Just people want to talk.
Exactly.
And they feel like they know you. And I feel like I know them because I got a sense of intuition.
Gotcha.
So for me, communicating with people is beautiful because that's the source of a conflict, right? So conflict happens so much because we really don't communicate.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And I think that, and particularly conflict with girls, girls against each other, girls with their moms, like conflict is a big thing. But I think conflict happens simply because we are not teaching each other who we are. We just project onto each other, like, if I have this understanding. So it's a work. Don't get me wrong. It's a work. What I think I love everything about it because in a sense, I'm a communicative person, right? Where it can get a little sticky.
Hashtag SAT word, communicative.
Oh, yes.
That's
SAT word.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Hope my students out there studying.
That's it. That's it.
What I would say is, what I dislike about it, is that for me, people who know me and who follow me, there are people who know me personally. There are people who know, there are layers to everyone knowing parts of my personal life and things of that nature. I'm cool with that. I think what happens, though, is that people get a glimpse of who you are and what you do. And, I think it's, if you're not showing a particular emotion at a particular time, people don't think you experience
Exactly.
it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think that when you're a leading woman, the requirement for what you take on also is a setup for the idea of what it means to be a strong woman.
Exactly.
Right? And so the drawback to it is that when you do have a bad day, or you need another person to lean on, like if you're strong for the entire world, who do you lean on?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that doesn't need that exchange. One of my homegirls says, I always feel like people are plugging their charges into me, and then when I'm done, I'm depleted. Right. Exactly. I love, and don't get me wrong, I love to give out. Like I absolutely love to give out, but it's also important for a woman who's in a leadership position to understand what are the resources that you need to replenish yourself to be able to give to the world.
Absolutely.
That's the stories that people don't tell.
Absolutely.
Like I studied like Ida B. Wells. I studied these women to say, wait a minute, she had 4 kids. How in the world was she traveling around? When did she eat? Who was taking care of her kids? She was married. Yep. I'm like, somebody tell me how they did it, because what happens is we see this magic happen.
Absolutely.
Everybody talking about the black girl magic, black woman magic, which is beautiful.
Right.
But no, let's talk about the mechanics of how that's actually done.
That's right.
Let's talk about like how do we have to finagle childcare?
Right.
Who had to go on the road? Right? You know what I'm saying? How do we have to move money from this account to this account to make sure stuff was covered? See, stuff like that. We make the magic happen, but then don't tell nobody the real of like what needed to happen to make it happen.
The method behind it.
Yeah.
You know what? And so I want to tap into this song, "A Black Girl's Worth" that you've done. I listened to it almost. I was like, good gracious! It opens up my mind, and like you said, information is key. Information is power.
Right.
And then when we come back from listening to this song, I want you to, if you can, to go in a little bit to some of those resources that are needed to replenish the virtue that is, that you all put out so much.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about A Black Girl's Worth. This tune here.
Yeah, this is a special one. This was the first music video that I put out, solo music video that I put out. And A Black Girl's Worth came from, at the time in D.C., 2 things had happened. Relisha Rudd had gone missing.
Gotcha.
And then right at that same time, they were announcing about the girls from Chibok, Nigeria, who had gone missing as well. And I watched the news coverage in juxtaposition to these situations and how we responded. And immediately there was this sort of like attack around Relisha Rudd's mother and this and the third. So I did my own research, because they was like, well, her mother the issue. And I'm like, okay, so let's say she is, right? So let's go deeper, right? So like if we just say her mother the issue, then we go on about our day. Right. We don't actually understand, well, what would make, if this is true, right? Like if people like, oh well, her mother sold her. Okay, so I'm a mama. So you tell me the level of what mentally has to be going on for you to sell your child. Right. You're not going to tell me and convince me that I woke up like this.
That's right.
You understand?
That's right.
So if we want to change that, one, we have to know the story behind what created it, so that even if we can't shift that person, we can make other people aware these are the things that lead a mama to then not being connected to their daughter.
That's right.
So again, so A Black Girl's Worth came out of the fact that there were so many young girls that I knew that did not know their worth. And we were telling them, we were saying cute stuff and saying, oh, love yourself. Girl, please. Let's roll back on that.
That's right.
Roll back on that and say, not only, like, this is not just about loving yourself. It's about understanding the system of how it hasn't been done for so many years. So let's go back and look at a black girl's worth. Well, what's her worth? Well, let's look at it on TV. If we're looking at it on TV, we the only ones fighting for us.
Gotcha.
When it's a central issue, Sandra Bland. When it's a central issue, then it's a black woman issue, right? So then we're like, how do we make it a nationwide? Everyone concentrates on this particular issue.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to bring to the forefront. I wanted to do a little bit of Lauryn Hill on A Black Girl's Worth to say, well, what's a black girl's worth? Well, these days I can't really tell if you're looking at that, but I know what they're really worth. Gotcha. So then now let me put the information in there. So here's the information that you've been given, but that ain't it.
That's it.
So now in the gumbo. Down, I'ma put, this is what you're actually worth. This is what you actually come from. And guess what? Your mama might not know, but that might not be, but she gonna learn today.
How about that?
Yeah.
Listen, you all. We are live here and direct. I hope you all listen to it and tuning in to Choppin' It Up with Chook. I have the HipHopMomma. I'm calling her Queen Princess Best today. Listen to me. I want to tap into this song. I want y'all to hear it here. A Black Girl's Worth here on Choppin' It Up with Chook here on DC Radio.
Black girl's worth. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like Henrietta Maxwell's. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like the soul of Ida B. Wells. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like Henrietta Maxwell's. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like the soul of Ida B. Wells. What's a black girl's worth these days? I can't tell. Tossed like a lost penny in a wishing well. Facing rape cases on a regular basis. Black girls go missing, no one even looks for traces. Molestation, a constant conversation. Your silence kills and repeats for generations and generations. This is no sensation. This occurs every day, out and day in. Pad to the pen, time to restore order. My pen is loaded for protection of our daughters. We get shot on porches, no one goes straight to jail. Hijack our wombs for reproductive sales. Take 60 years to tell, be like sorry, oh well. You birthed a billion babies off one black female. See, I'ma give them hell. Ooh, I'm about to tell. Break these girls free like a side of sale. See, I'ma give them hell. Ooh, I'm about to tell. Break these girls free like a side of sale. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like Henrietta Maxwell. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like the soul of Ida B. Wells. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like Henrietta Maxwell. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like the soul of Ida B. Wells. What's a black girl's worth these days? I can't tell. Tossed like a lost penny in a wishing well. Broken rib cages on military bases. Acid on vagina to cover up the traces. Homeless and hungry, trying to get a job. Arrested for leaving your kids in the car. At graduation, feeding your baby girl. Your picture shamed around the internet world. 50 Shades of Shady, coming for first lady. Criticized for her side on the health of black babies. Let me retell her story as we know it. The magic of the melanin well, they're scared to show it. Let me be well. Strip the cell from eugenics. Cause black girl sickness is welfare's dependent. I'ma give them hell. Ooh, I'm about to tell. Break these girls free like Lauryn Hill sell. I'ma give them hell. Ooh, I'm about to tell. Break these girls free like Lauryn Hill sell. Cause I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like Henrietta Maxwell. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like the soul of Ida B. Wells. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like Henrietta Maxwell. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel like the soul of Ida B. Wells. I am my sister's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. What's a black girl's worth these days? I can't tell. Like the claws of a lost penny that she found well. Sacred sisters' faces, building up her bases, filling in the blanks where there were missing pages, forming foundations, raising up nations, birthing the earth, leading with information. Time out for patience. Our girls are waiting. Godot ain't coming. Messiah try fading. No need for makeup. Makeup is our armor. Back with a pack of corporate boss and baby mamas. This year is no drama. This auction block karma. The best thing you seen since you voted for Obama. Organized sisters proper, bringing you that agua. Awaken to your power in this here final hour. I'ma give them hell. Ooh, I'm about to tell. Break these girls free. Return them to themselves. I'ma give them hell. Ooh, I'm about to tell. Break these girls free. Return them to themselves.
Ooh, listen to me. You're so passionate about it. There's so many, like, hearing you, like, I've been watching some documentaries, all that stuff, like Angela Davis's and all that stuff, and the Nina Simone's, and you bring me to, like, that same, you're in that same conversation because your music is it opens up some real dialogue about what's going on, like right now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's not just, it's entertainment, but it's also thought-provoking as well. So before we played that song, we were talking a little bit about the African and the Black woman and how there are a lot of times where you have to exert so much energy and be everybody else's lifeline. But also, at this point, identifying some of the resources that you need to replenish the virtue that you have, just let out. So to you, what are some of those things? So everybody, and fellas, y'all need to be writing this down too.
Please,
so
fellas,
we can,
please.
You know what I mean?
That's part of the issue.
Got you.
That's part of the issue. Like even saying, like I tell people, like, we have an event coming up, but I tell fellas all the time, I'm like, at the DC Music Summit, they asked me this. They were like, what happens when you hear people say, yeah, I don't listen to women rap because I don't want to listen to women's stuff. Well, what's women's stuff? Like I say, I'm like, Tupac said, you came from a woman, got your name from a woman, and your game from a woman. How do you separate it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a daughter, if you have a niece, like, these are things that, just because I wasn't born male doesn't mean I don't need to know things about what males go through.
Absolutely.
Like, that's just crazy.
Right.
So it's really interesting on the opposite end to be that, because we all need that. So when we talk about resources, one of the biggest things is, I teach my students, I was like, one of the questions that women and girls have to ask themselves, particularly, like, number one, looking at your healthy relationship, starting with your healthy relationship with yourself, right? Recognizing where you're unhealthy within yourself. But that takes some work.
Yes, it does.
And what happens is that what I was finding was that you would get girls who would skip over girlhood. This is what we talk about in my book, right? Like the ancestry would be non-existent.
Gotcha.
Girlhood would be skipped over because now you've got to be surrogate mama, because, what I'm saying, because of the relationships that maybe our mothers are in. Then sisterhood is obsolete because then we're not learning by example because we haven't had girlhood enough time to actually deal with that.
That's it.
So you got to look at, one, what are you eating? What are you eating? What kinds of thoughts are you telling yourself? How much time do you get to meditate? How much time do you actually get to spend with yourself? Right? How well are you uplifting yourself? And how well are you being uplifted? The amount of time that you get to spend as a girl definitely plays out in what your womanhood looks like.
Gotcha.
So when we have our girls who at 7, 8, 9, and 10 are already surrogate moms, they don't get to develop, they don't get to play, and they don't get to make mistakes.
Gotcha.
And particularly, and in the book, I talk about Black mama scripts. And Black mama scripts usually derive from don't. So I'll be like, when I be like, as a girl, what is stressed is you best go to school, keep your legs tightly pressed, and you best follow rules. Don't follow behind these fools. This is the golden rule. You taught so many don'ts, you don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Because you're taught, so it's like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So at what point do you get to develop? You can only develop by doing.
Absolutely.
The hard part is that the way in which socioeconomics works, racial dynamics and all of that type of stuff is that Black women are raising their daughters at a rapid speed to be able to be developed in ways in womanhood prepared for that.
Gotcha.
And you know what I'm saying? Before they've even gotten an understanding of their own girlhood.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So which is why you get girls in conflict when you get to teenage years, because they are fighting the woman that they've skipped into being versus the girl that they should have been allowed to become.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Good gracious. So I got a question. My question is, how is it that you're able to it's amazing knowledge. And first of all, you said something a moment ago about the guys who say, I don't want to hear girl rap because I don't want to hear girl stuff. Guys, if any of you guys out there and listening to me, that's an uninformed perspective that definitely needs to be updated. You know what I'm saying? That's real talk. We need to know what you all think, how you all process things.
Absolutely.
This is a world where there is male and female, regardless of the confines of what the connections are.
Absolutely.
We need to know those elements. So my question is, because you're so You're first of all, well-versed. And I believe in giving you your flowers while you can spell them.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
I
So
receive that.
That's
I receive
great.
and reflect.
So how do you take the challenges that are so they've been blatantly sometimes overlooked in our society, but very, very important. And you put them into these work forms of art, whether you're speaking, whether you're doing it spoken word, whether you're doing a rap or anything. What does that creative process look like to take something that is so very, very dear, something that is, culturally and literally in our hearts, minds, and our souls, and creatively put it into something that can be palatable for the masses?
Oh, well, I love that process because for me, that is the creative process too. I always tell people, you've got people who got, the left brain, right brain, where some people are super creative and then some people are super technical.
Right.
We clearly see when I was trying to put this cell phone together, I'm not technical. And I always tell people at my job, I say, I always love being paired with people who are super technical, who hit all those things, because I'm not that person.
Got it.
So the way my creative process works is I say, okay, Chook, so here's what I'm feeling about what people need to know. So it's like, what do people really need to know, right? So if, for instance, the idea of if people need to know about sex trafficking, right? Like that's a broad statement, right? But the statement of understanding how do girls end up, what situations cause girls to be vulnerable to sex trafficking?
Gotcha.
Now we talking,
right?
Now we talk, because people don't, because sex trafficking, they're like, okay, well, if it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect me.
Right.
But they don't know how it affects them because you got to draw it to them. So then I sit back and I go,
Right.
All right, now, how can I, you know what I'm saying? So what's the message? So the message is if the message is that 75% of girls, and this is a true stat, right? 75% of runaways are girls. Why is that, right? Girls are put out at more at more rapid rates than boys. Why is that? Because of conflict with mothers. Okay, let's look at that, right? So then the backdrop becomes, 75%, there's a development issue where there's a point where girls and women mothers are disconnecting.
Right.
Let's point to that. Let's point to that. Like, so then you can understand that argument that you have with mom, it's not mom's fault. It's not daughter's fault.
Right.
But if you understand that the argument itself is the seed for what can lead to sex trafficking if we don't resolve that
Absolutely.
argument.
And and there's a lot of times that some of those topics that are so are the things that people don't really want to talk about.
Absolutely.
Because it sometimes unveils some things that they might have went through.
Honey.
Or is very congruent to, what I'm saying, oh, well, my life and, okay,
Absolutely.
I don't want to talk about it no more. So, to turn a blinded eye never helps the problem.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, having just open discussion, and like this, and like I said, this is for both. This is male and female. We have to have these open dialogues so that we can change. The biggest element is we have to be a part of the change that we say that we want to see.
Absolutely.
It starts with us, you know, so.
And for me, that's one of the biggest things, because when you, there is a system that is at play that, again, it leads back, again, we cannot leave out the dynamics that create these situations.
Right.
There is, you know what I'm saying? There's white supremacy. There's all these backdrop things that we don't think about that play out. Namely, I always talk about, like in my songs, I talk a lot about vulnerable households because I came from one.
Gotcha.
And when I say vulnerable household, what I mean is I lost my dad. My dad died when I was 12.
Gotcha.
Right? And so so if you lose a parent, if you didn't have a parent, one or both, you know what I'm saying? And then it puts your mother or father in a vulnerable position, that leaves your household open for vulnerable things because things will get missed. Not to say it won't get missed if two parents are in the home, but it's a little less because you have more eyes on it. So me losing my father, that meant my mother had to work more. So because she had to work more, then that trickles down to the responsibilities that then fall on children. Now, not because you want them to, but because it's the dynamics. Usually when it falls down, it falls on the oldest girl. Well, I'm the baby. I'm actually the baby of the family, but I'm the only girl. I'm the girl in the family. You see? So therefore, there's an expectation of what girls are supposed to do. We gotta understand that. You know what I'm saying? So when that vulnerability falls, right? So then that's a household that then needs a certain amount of help.
Got it.
Right? So if mama is out trying to get that type of help, she doesn't have eyes on her home.
Got it.
And she shouldn't have to.
That's right.
But she doesn't have eyes on her home in a way to be able to be there and be at peace, because she's got to make sure that the household is taken care of.
Wow.
This is what brothers need to understand about when we talk about broken relationships between men and women.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not just about whether or not we get along. It's about what your separation can cause inside of your home without you even knowing, if you are not aware of the resources that are needed there. It is a stressful thing for mothers, father. It is a stressful thing to not have adequate child care. And then to be subjugated to have to pick someone that you would not normally pick to watch your child, because it's either that or your kid don't eat.
That's right.
And it's also a double dynamic if, in fact, you go out and you get your kid something to eat, and then later you find out that your kid has been sexually violated. Because then what is the mental damage that does to a mother who says, I was just trying to work so I could provide, and while I'm providing, my child is being violated. Which one do you do?
That's right. That's amazing you said that. The other day I was watching something on Maya Angelou. I didn't know the whole backdrop.
The backstory.
Yeah, about those 5 years where she wasn't talking. And you were mentioning something because it's very, very important. Just like I said before, it's not my judgment of the connection with certain things, but it takes a male and a female outside of you going to a donor bank to be able to create
life.
To create life. What makes us think that it's not just as important that both of those entities, like you said, the more eyes that are in, that are focused in on the family at the household, that certain things won't happen, but you have more attention to it. So you have a song, Trap Island, and I think, you prefaced this song for us.
Segue.
Yes, indeed. The concept, like I said, I've heard a couple of your songs, but Trap Island, the Black Girl's Worth, and then the song that we'll play a little bit later on. They're just very captivating, and today you are able always to express you give the problem. I used to hear in school, we have a problem. Don't complain about the problem if you're not also bringing a solution to the table.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And every time that you raise a concern or anything, you have so much energy and you have so much to offer as in terms of suggestions on how to bring that change. So, so can you preface as we get ready to go into Trap Island for a moment?
Well, so awareness is a big thing for me. Because a lot of times, like you said, people do jump right to solutions, which we do need. But the solutions without understanding the root will never change a thing. You know what I'm saying? So we might be working on an external factor that does not change because so we can say, oh, we take this out, but then the problem is still actually there. So with Trap Island came out of personal experiences, and then two particular experiences with two girls who had told me stories of arguments that they'd gotten into with their mothers. And the idea behind it was that one girl left home, left home as she beefed with her mom, and it really tells the story of how she leaves home, and this is a simple argument that they're talking, simple argument that over something that ends up turning into a very vulnerable situation for the girl, and in a matter of seconds, in a matter of seconds, and we don't really think about that. So when I say girls, find themselves in the trap, mothers find themselves in the trap, right, and that. What we have to understand is that when we're looking at mental health, we have to look at that. No matter how much we think that a 14-year-old girl has an attitude, she's still a 14-year-old girl, and she's a girl.
That's it.
And yes, It ain't the easiest. Yeah. Trust me. Right. It ain't the easiest. But there's a part of her that's still a girl, which means she's not operating off the higher mechanisms quite yet. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So Trap Island was a sense of allowing people to understand the statistics and how girls end up not only as a byproduct in sex trafficking, but then how they end up becoming sex workers.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And not understanding that even the smallest thing of like a young man or a girl calling a girl a thought in school, how that translates into them choosing that. So that's how that came about.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Antone Chooky Caldwell, and I'm here with the HipHopMomma, Queen Princess Best today, and I want to let you all hear a little bit of this tune called Trap Island here on DC Radio.
Reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence, victim of violence, but nobody hears my sirens. Reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence. My story got mileage, I done burned out my iris. I reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence. Blind to my shyness, they see me as a tyrant. Reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence. Victim of violence, but nobody hears my sirens. So taken for granted, girlhood that is, assuming every girl gets to experience it. Wish life was just cornrows with some beads in the wind. For some girls it's a dump hole where they get beaten in. These cycles start early, recycles recurring, embedded so deep in your psyche you think that it's learning. Passed down oppression, never addressed, comes out when you say things like, girl, you look a hot mess. We look over these habits, communication tragic. 68% of our girls feel less than adequate. Responses toughen up, don't see how it connects to the decisions she begins to make about sex. I reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence, victim of violence, but nobody hears my sirens. I reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence. My story got mileage, I done burned out my iris. I reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence. Blind to my shyness, they see me as a tyrant. I reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence. Victim of violence, but nobody hears my sirens. We must pay more attention, cause the numbers don't lie. 75% of runaways are females. Why? It can start out so simple. Daughter beefing with moms, they start to shout. Mom says get out, she says F it, I'm gone. Hops the metro, figures she'll hit the mall. Buys her some shoes and some food, no money left at all. Who this shit call? Mama still got her too. Hanging outside the mall, walking up as random dude. Ain't he jive like cute? Said he'd give her a ride. Pulls out a roll up and asks if she wants to get high. And it sounds alright, least it's something to do. He tells her he got one stop to make and she says cool. It's a hotel room, scared she didn't have a choice. Laden thought of her mama, didn't even raise her voice. After he was finished, she thought this was the end. Put a gun to her head and said, you got to do my mans. And then woke up, tried to wash her wounds, they wouldn't wash away. She decided from that moment on the streets is where she'd stay. Sex abuse is a prison, no one chooses this living. So stop calling girls loose and taking rape as a given. They say girls are drama, nope, that's unhealed trauma. I'm praying that this song can heal some daughters and they mamas. They say girls are drama, nope, that's unhealed trauma. I'm praying that this song can heal some daughters and they mamas. I reside on Trap Island, trapped in this silence, victim of violence, but nobody hears my sirens.
Wow, and this is so.
Make it just take a breath. Just take a breath.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was like, we're about to go into the impromptu segment. I was like, wait a minute.
Gotta let it sit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You all, that's what we aim to do on this platform here at Choppin It Up with Chook, and it's to inform all those who listen to this show, give you information or just give you real life nuggets to help you on your journey. It's not just entertainment and stuff. I think, I'm thankful to you for even being here because it's this is just life stuff.
Hey.
You got to get your life right before you can, be trying to entertain anybody.
Hey.
You know what I mean? So, so what you got on your mind? What you feel like?
I don't know. Let's see. I'm like, he done pulled out the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, this is just something I just had right here.
This whole thing.
we just gonna make it work. I'm trying to think. That piece makes me think of this piece that I wrote called The Womb Print, which is really about like the different things that mothers go through that need to be healed.
Gotcha.
But it's kind of slower. So, but okay. I mean,
you start. I'm following. That's what we do. We're gonna chop it up with you.
Could talk to my unborn too. I'm trying to think how to. Look, we ain't here, but I'm beating on the table because I'm trying to get the tempo.
I got you.
So it goes like, if I could talk to my unborn children, the first thing that I would ask is for my past, am I forgiven? And would they listen or be scorned that I aborted? Scared to death to be a single mom like the norm, unsupported. I couldn't have thought it, so I bought it, that plane. Bought it for $300, get away, escape the pain. Memorex tape replaying, girl, you got ish to do. Your whole life will be rearranged, be about them kids and not about you. Don't forget the shame that you feel when you miss taking your pill or you skip taking your pill, acting like you ain't know pregnancy's real still. If you'd have known about ovulation, high fertility, pregnancy only happens on certain days when the moon plays music, you thought you was just horny. Her speakers full fuse, screaming, reproduce, homie. And it's lonely in the karmic thoughts of your decisions. If you knew then what you knew now, would you take a different position? I get to twitching sometimes when I hear a vacuum. Abortions, rape, molestation, so much trauma in this trapped womb. Enough to consume your womb with diseases. They gon' send you to hospital soon like you was Jesus. If they only knew about, if they only talked about, if they weren't shamed about the sacred womb, yo. If they only knew about, if they only talked about, if they weren't shamed about the sacred womb. If I could talk to the taken children, erase all the separation that was created by CPS systems and do deep incisions into the heart space of our sistrens and fill them with Tafiti till they grow what they are missing. Listen, her decision may not have been the one you chose. Why she have them babies but can't take care of them though? Then send them off to school with dirty clothes smelling like mold. Her teachers presume her mom's a lazy ratchet hoe. No compassion though. Sisters addicted to drugs and alcohol. Don't wanna get involved, but quick to make that CFSA call. Like foster care safe, where some of our girls get raped. The cost might be much less if we invest in mom's mind state. But since that outcome's slow, we just do what we know. Put a band-aid on the problem we know eventually grows. And where you think it grows, our mental health unfolds. Our trauma dismissed as anger, we are misdiagnosed, yo. If they only knew about, if they only talked about, if they weren't shamed about, the sacred womb, yo. If they only knew about, if they only talked about, if they weren't shamed about, the sacred womb. If I could. Yeah.
OMG, OMG.
Yeah. Yo.
All the way off the impromptu.
Yes.
Yeah, we gonna
put that down.
You already know.
That was it right there.
Listen, reset button.
That was it.
Yo, I have the amazing, the HipHopMomma in the studio, Queen Princess Best. So listen, two things.
Yeah.
First of all, can you tell everyone how we can reach you, how they can reach you?
Yeah.
I know how to reach you because I've been doing my homework. But can you tell them, please?
Yes, absolutely. So if you want to reach me, my website is under construction. But you can send an email to Princess Best Speaks with an S on the end, princessbestspeaks@gmail.com, or you can hit the Heal Me hotline at 202-798-7694. Again, that's 202-798-7694. You can also follow me on Instagram at Princess Best Speaks. And if you're looking for the HipHopMomma, it's spelled MOMMA. We had a whole moment the other day about HipHopMomma. There's a group called the HipHopMommas out of Boston, so we gotta make sure we spell that right. And then also on Facebook, I am the HipHopMomma. Princess Best. I am. This is my month. You know what I'm saying? So I'm booking and all of that type of stuff. Also, if you want to find me, I'm going to be doing. My goal is about healing, and we're going to be doing a Heal a Whole Week, #Heal a Whole Week. That's going to be happening March 18th through March 25th online. So you can join me. Make sure you opt in on Instagram, and we'll be doing a day of healing each day leading up to our big healing event, which is called You Good Sis, and it doesn't mean it's just for sisters. It's for everyone. I'm really encouraging fathers, uncles to bring their young women in their lives, and it is free for those ages 12 to 17. It's $30 for our adults, gotcha. And it's going to be at March 26th at the Anacostia Busboys and Poets 2004 Martin Luther King Jr. Ave. And so I want you all to be there. So please come. It's you're going to go to Eventbrite to the healing experience. Hold on one second. I want to make sure I get it right. It is www.YouGoodSisLiveHealingExperience.eventbrite.com, and I'll give that information again for You Good Sis, the live healing experience. We want y'all in the building. We're gonna have live band. It's from 7 to 9, and I'm all about this. The healing and the movement. As I heal, absolutely. We heal. We all heal.
Absolutely. Listen, you all, do yourself a favor and make sure that you are following the HipHopMomma. That's MOMMA.
Yes.
Queen Princess Best. So listen, Queen, I have one question for you.
Yes.
What advice would you give, so this is a little bit different episode, so not only to young and inspiring artists who want to, learn or embrace their craft or anything, just anybody in general, but what would you say today to that black woman or that black young girl who just happens to be listening in on the show today?
Okay.
As a word, just to inspire them and help them out today, what would you say?
I would say, do not be afraid of your voice.
Got it.
If people tell you that you talk too much, use that as a weapon for good.
Got it.
And to understand that your story, everything that is happening to you is building you for who you are to become. And so use anything that even seems like trauma, use it and translate it, whether that's through the arts, use it, share it so that through your sharing, it will enlighten, enliven, and amplify another person. That's Absolutely. How you give life. That's how you give life. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of it. Your adversities are there to build you so that you will share. Your story ain't yours to hold.
Listen. Thank you for being on Choppin It Up with Chook today.
Thank you.
Y'all, this has been so exciting. You have given me so many things just to think about, just ponder on. Even some of your songs, we just had to take a moment and it literally reset the atmosphere in here. And then, we literally, when you all see when we do these impromptu segments on this show, this is all unthought of.
Yeah.
I literally picked up my bass.
He picked up I was like, oh, wait, that's where we going. Let's go.
Listen. And those things, so just like we're being transparent, even across the airwaves and all of that stuff, you all take a look at the person in the mirror and make sure that person in the mirror has everything that they need. Inspiration, sometimes you can't count on the other person. You have to learn to encourage yourself and inspire yourself. And what we do here is I always tell you, I try to make sure that we bring in people that can help you along the journey and can share some words of wisdom with you, just to, what they used to call Scooby snacks, just to get me through the day.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm so thankful for having you here.
Thank you for having me.
The real HipHopMomma. Listen, and more over than anything, I want you all to go and check out the HipHopMomma Princess Best on all the media. And trust and believe, just like, we had some very, very real moments in here today. Trust and believe, I'm sure that you'll experience the same thing. And we're going to leave out today with, is this the latest single?
This is my latest single called Misintention.
Misintention.
Yes.
And you're listening to it here. I'm signing off, everybody. This is Antone Chooky Caldwell, Choppin It Up with Chook. And you're listening to Misintention by HipHopMomma Princess Best.
Yes.
Here on DC Radio.
So many girls, they never give. Carry shame in their pockets. Time to heal and reveal how they feel and how to stop it. Many women never give. Carry pain in their lockets. If we heal and reveal what they conceal, we could stop. When she's crying out for attention, your response is detention. What if we stop to listen for a minute with intention? Reveal roots of her pain. Meditate and heal her shame. Music as her therapy. Let her light be reclaimed.
In DC, for DC. DC Radio, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov.